Hi, beloveds. This is Tamala, your empowerment partner, professor, and psychic, and welcome to your empowerment place. So I needed to jump on and talk about several things. Spirit was talking to me tons this morning in the shower and as I was getting ready. And I didn't want to forget any of it. And it's a lot for me to get upstairs and make it all look pretty and nice. And Spirit's like, just sit down at your table and do it. Quit having excuses, right? So I'm just going to start talking about all of these things and then I'll edit it afterwards. So if you see those clips, that's what it is. So number one, Elon Musk is a negative being. They've been saying this forever. This is for informational and entertainment purposes only. They've been saying that for years and years and years. So please understand that all of the chaos and confusion that he is participating in at this time is his sole purpose. People ask, why is he so successful if he's a negative being? It's because he's doing what he came here to do. And people forget and they don't understand that when you are operating in your sole purpose, you are the most successful. You are the most amazing and abundant and powerful and joyful, etc. That's true for positive beings who are connected to source, who get their energy from source and not other people, primarily. And it's true for negative beings who get their energy directly from other people and not from source. That's what makes a soul negative, is they're no longer connected to the light. They are directly siphoning energy from other people, from experiences, and so forth. Okay? Negative being, here to kill, steal, and destroy. His part in the government is for that purpose, to kill, steal, and destroy the government, democracy, and so forth. He's been working for that for ages and will continue to work for that. He definitely is connected to foreign powers like Russia. Again, this is for entertainment purposes only, but this is what my guides have been telling me for years. The drones that have been flying around in different places, they've always been connected to him. When I ask about the connection, it's not necessarily a direct connection, meaning it may or may not be his drones, but it might be a one-off. Like, it's his instruction. He has told people to do this and it's for a specific reason. But it's, like one-off from him as far as the drones themselves. Like, he may not own them. Maybe he has a company, maybe he has a relative, maybe he has a friend who has these drones, but he is definitely involved in that, per Spirit. Also per Spirit, they've been saying for months, is that there was some contamination of the 2024 election where Elon and his people did tamper with the election results, again, entertainment purposes only, and tampered with them in a 3 to 5%, maybe up to 8% margins in lots of different places. They learned their lesson last time. And if you think about how to win an election, you don't just go dump a bunch of votes in. You don't count votes that are legal votes, which happened. You add people to the rolls that are not really voters, which has been documented to have happened in places like Texas. You change the votes or add in those votes, 3 to 5, maybe 8% in some places, but mostly 3 to 5% in a bunch of small places so that it doesn't look suspicious. That all is what Spirit has said occurred in this election. Now, after the election, we, as the United States, had a choice. We had a choice before the election. We were going to choose the path of least resistance, which would have been with Kamala, to move toward unity and community and more help everybody kind of vibes, okay? Or you could choose Trump, which is every person for themselves, power over others, separation, one up, one down, patriarchy, all that good stuff, right? So the separation was we could choose Kamala and go into the light, community, expansion, taking care of others, all of that stuff. Or you could choose Trump, which was selfishness, capitalism, money, greed, objectifying people, all of that negativity, separation, fear, power, all of that. And I'm going to call that the dark. So we had the choice between the light and the dark. And the election was really the culmination of that choice, right? What are we going to choose? We had the opportunity to choose that path of light, which was going to be the path of least resistance, or we could choose that lower path, which was going to be the hard path, okay? And Source lets us choose whatever it is we want to choose. And what we also need to consider is, I don't know if this happened for you, if you noticed this, but for a couple of years, the past couple of years, time has gone really super fast. Fast. It was like you get up in the morning and suddenly it's bedtime. Oh my gosh, it's February. How is it? It was just February yesterday. How is it November? Right? Time's gone fast. Everything was fast. Okay? The reason it was fast was we were having the opportunity to shift up in that higher dimensional, fifth dimensional vibrational state. Okay? Meaning we're going to have access and more connection to the all that is, more connection to God, to Source. We were going to have connection to our non-earthly neighbors, right? It was going to be an opportunity for us to have contact, real, tangible, visual, perceptual, actual contact. Okay, all of that was planned on that timeline, but that's not what happened. We, as Americans, as the totality of America, chose that lower timeline. We did that by voting and by not following through and resolving all those issues from the vote, right? The 3 to 5%, the 3 to 5% that was changed or tweaked or added, the votes that were removed, all of that stuff, right? We didn't follow through. And the Democrats did not make a big deal about it because they didn't want to say, oh, the election was stolen, blah, 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 right? They wanted to take the high road. The problem is they didn't solve the problem. And because they didn't solve the problem still exists, which means they're going to have to address it at some point and now it's going to be more difficult because now the negativity or the greed, the power, the separation is in charge in a bigger way because now they have no restrictions. Before, there were restrictions in place that allowed people to see and make choices, right? Are you going to choose the path of light? Or are you going to choose the path of darkness? Are you going to choose power over? Or are you going to choose empowerment for individuals? And every person in the government got to make those choices and then act on those choices, right? There were generals and all kinds of governmental officials who came out after the last Trump presidency and said, we stopped him from doing really stupid shit, right? They made decisions. That is not the case this time because the opportunity was given for voters and the Democratic Party and the Republican Party to see with their own eyes what the options were. And they did nothing to stop that power shift, that power grab. Okay? So dropped us into that lower timeline. If you've noticed the past couple of weeks, time has slowed down. I don't know about for you, if you've paid attention. For me and some of the people I've talked with, time has slowed down noticeably. We're used to it was like, how is it November? It was just February. Now it's, oh my God, how is it still today? It's like, I did stuff this morning and it feels like I did that last week, but I didn't. It was today. So time has really slowed down. Evidence that we've dropped into that lower timeline. We were going faster and faster and faster so that we would be prepared to jump into that fifth dimensional, higher vibrational timeline. And we didn't do that. We dropped in to that lower one where time is slower. Things are going to be more difficult. It's going to take more effort to do things. And we're really going to have to manage our thoughts, emotions, words, and actions. So hopefully, during all this time, you have really participated in your own evolution, in your own understanding of how to manage your thoughts, emotions, words, and actions. And if not, I'll put a link below for my course that helps you do that. But understand that we are in a different timeline right now. The timeline that we're in right now is effort. It's challenge. And in America, we are governed by beings that are not necessarily beings of light. I want to say that again. The people that are in power in the government of the United States, and this is for entertainment purposes only, but this is straight from spirit, they are not necessarily beings of light. And they're adding the necessarily to kind of cover my behind. All right? So, in other words, there's some bad folks in there. Meaning, their sole purpose is negativity. Their sole purpose is chaos or to kill, steal, and destroy. There are beings in the government that are grays, which means they've lost their way, they've lost their light through choice. They've made choices where they gave their light away. And then there are negative beings who entirely make choices that disempower others. Okay, that's their purpose. They get all of their energy from other people and situations. They draw no light from source, and they are here to kill, steal, and destroy. Okay, I can't say that any differently. When you're dealing with this type of government, understand that they are not going to make choices that are going to be for the benefit of all, because their intention is to kill, steal, and destroy. So anytime anything comes up and there's a vote, we can choose helping people or we can choose destroying people. Guess which one they're going to pick every time. So don't be surprised. Don't think, oh, well, this time they're going to choose the right thing. No, they're not. The grays might, because they're still teetering. They haven't given up all of their light yet. But the majority of them are negative beings. The people that are being put in the cabinet and the places of power, look at their fruit. They're negative beings. They draw their energy from taking power from other people. It's what they do. They harm people. They take away things, rights, power, choices, health, wellness, food, health care. They take that away from people, homes. They take it away. They are negative beings. You cannot negotiate with negative beings. You can't change their minds. You can't change their direction. They are doing their sole purpose. Let me say that again. They are doing their sole purpose. They're thriving. They're thriving. Understand that. So as we're moving forward for the next 4 years or more, specifically the next 2, but for the next period of time, do not put your hopes for your life and your experience in anyone outside of yourself. Do not expect the government to save you, because they will not. Do not expect the elected officials to choose the highest vibrational choice, because there's not enough of them in the governmental positions that are light beings that can make that choice, because grays and negative beings cannot make that choice. Grays could, but they won't. Otherwise, they wouldn't be gray, right? They're leaning towards the dark. And so it's important to understand we've chosen the hard way. We as a collective on the planet have chosen the hard way. All it takes is 50% plus 1 of decision makers, adults on the planet, to shift us into 5D. We were at that opportunity. And we didn't have 50% plus 1 that chose the light. We had 50% plus 1 that chose the status quo or the darkness, patriarchy, power over. So now we just got to do it the hard way. We will do it. It's going to come through taking our own power. It's going to come from healing our own wounds. It's going to come from doing our own stuff, right? Us as individuals have to do our own work. Because as a collective, there is not a collective right now. We didn't choose collective. We chose the lower timeline. The lower timeline does not honor and respect collectives. It doesn't. It can't function. And so that's why you need to understand you can keep working for unity. You can keep working for the light and doing your powerful things and doing community and unity and doing all that in your personal life. But understand this timeline is not going to support you. You are going to have to support yourself. And honestly, that's the way it's been on planet Earth for thousands of years already. So it's not really different. It's just really disappointing that we didn't make the jump. I am heartbroken and resigned to it that we didn't make the jump. Because my work now has to be different. I had the work that I was going to do in that 5D timeline. I knew what it was. I was going to be interfacing with these non-human beings, extraterrestrial beings, and I was going to be talking to them and sharing their messages, and we were going to be doing work together in the physical, not just in the spirit, in the physical. Like, I was looking outside my house in my backyard every day for 3 months, multiple times a day and at night, looking for them to show up in my backyard. And then 3 or 4 days ago, no, it's been a week or so now, that just stopped. It's because we are dropped in, we are solidified into this lower vibration, and that's not going to happen now. There was a time a couple of weeks ago, if you remember, where the drones, the images of the drones obviously looked extraterrestrial, and now they obviously look like human aircraft. Shifted. We dropped into this timeline. And so now we got to deal with it. So sit down, think about, If you're going to have to do it the hard way, meaning it's going to require effort, it's going to require moxie, it's going to require you taking care of you while you're also doing your sacred work or doing your everyday work or taking care of your kids or building your relationships or whatever you're doing. How are you going to move forward in a way that you're still going to be authentic to who you are at soul level? Okay. For me, I'm divine truth and divine self-expression. I, in that other timeline, was going to be talking about different truths and expressing that in books and in talks and in videos and all of that stuff. And that was going to be done. Now, I'm still going to do the same thing. It's just going to be different content. It's going to be truth talks. It's going to be things like, don't fool yourself, right? Because the time for coddling, the time for higher vibrational verbiage, the time for escapism, all of that is over. We chose to do it the hard way. Now, some of you are saying, I didn't choose to do it the hard way. 50% plus one did. And majority rules. On earth, majority rules. So now we got to get 60%, as many people on the planet of the whole entire planet population. We have to have 50% plus one to get us into that higher vibrational timeline. We were almost there, and we blew it. So take heart. You can do it. You've been doing it all this time. I know you're tired. You're disappointed. You're like, what can I do different? Well, you can do things different now because we are in a different timeline. I'm going to explain this a little differently. The timeline we were on was here. Okay? This was the intermediate timeline. We were in the middle. We had a choice to go one up, or we had a choice to go one down, right? This was the intermediate one. This wasn't a real timeline that we were on. It was the opportunity timeline, right? Where are we going? It's one of those life paths that is, here's the path, and then suddenly it goes into two places, right? That's what that timeline was. And so that middle way timeline doesn't exist anymore. It was either going to shift up or shift down. And so it shifted down. So what was working for you 6 months ago, a year ago, is not going to work anymore because we're not there. We're not on that middle way anymore. We've dropped into this lower timeline. So that means we're going to have to start doing things out in the open, clear, without confusion or illusion or delusion, factual, and functional. Okay? We used to kind of be able to talk around things and, have the hidden handshakes and all that stuff. That's not this timeline. This timeline is very direct. It's bold. It's confident. No matter which side you're on, whether you're on the light or the dark, people are not hiding in this timeline. If you hide, you're going to be trampled. Don't hide. Now, does that mean you have to go on the news or stand out in the middle of the street? No. It means be authentic to you. Be authentic. Sit down, do the work, figure out who you want to be. Even if it's just in broad strokes, figure out who you want to be. And then go be that. Go do that. Go show up as that. Speak that. Think that. Feel that. And I want to rephrase that. Think as that. Feel as that. Speak as that. And do as that. Meaning, if I want to be divine truth and divine self-expression as I move forward, and I don't want to have the same blocks and restrictions that I had before, the same limitations, the same hiding, the same whatevers, right? Then when I'm going to do it, if I know this used to be a stumbling block. I'm going to circumvent that stumbling block, like today. Okay? It was a stumbling block for me to go upstairs and turn everything on and get the heat on and blah, 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 right? To record a video. And Spirit's like, just sit down at the table, turn the camera towards where your face is towards the door so you get a little bit of light, turn the overhead light on, put your phone up and record. Just do it. Because this timeline is about getting shit done. Doesn't have to be pretty. Doesn't have to be flowery words. You want it to be kind if possible, because you don't want to create new karmic consequences for yourself. But it needs to get done. The done part is the important part in this timeline. Done. Get it done. Okay? And I'm sorry, the phone has, I'm thumping on the table, so I'm shaking the camera, sorry. All right, let me check for a minute and see if there's anything else that Spirit wants to say. All right, so I had wanted to ask about, did things change with Trump? Because before this, we dropped into this timeline, there were absolutely, gonna go back. It was intended by Spirit, by the energies, by the resonances, that we choose the light. It was intended that Kamala win. It was intended for all of that to happen. It was intended by the universe that we choose that higher timeline and we jump there. Okay, that was the intention. In all the videos and classes that I'd had for the last 6-8 months, that was what they were saying. It is intended. If everyone votes, this is what's going to happen. If everyone votes, that's what's going to happen. And apparently a bunch of people didn't vote and so forth, right? It was a choice that was made. So on that old timeline also, they talked about how there was going to be absolutely one more attempt on Trump's life, possibly two, because they didn't really count the golf course person because nothing happened there. They saw him before anything happened, because originally there were going to be 3 attempts on his life. So I asked this morning on this new timeline, is that still true? Because Trump is not, it is not, and was not, it was not, I'm going to say was, because that was the middle timeline we were on. It was not intended that Trump would be president again, period. Now that we've dropped, I want to know if that's still true, so give me a minute. All right, so on this timeline that we're on right now, that we've locked into, there is the possibility that Trump will be inaugurated and he will be president for a period of time. It doesn't look like it's going to be for the duration of the 4 years. Also, Elon is not going to be there very much longer. I'm hearing 4 months. I don't know if it's 4 months from now or 4 months into the presidency, but that's what I'm getting right now. Again, that time frame may or may not be accurate. There will definitely be one more attempt on Trump's life. At least 1, maybe 2. Before they had said that it would be at an event or a place where Vance also was, and that Trump would either leave the planet. You know what that means? Leave the planet, either because of the thing or as a result of the thing. Meaning he could get shot and die, or there could be a ruckus and then he has a heart attack or a stroke or something, right? So they weren't really specifically clear on it because I guess it hadn't been decided yet. Now, there definitely is going to be a 3rd attempt on him. Potentially a 4th if this 3rd one doesn't work out. There is building momentum for this 3rd one. It is coming from the inside of the party. This is for entertainment purposes only. Meaning the momentum is coming from inside the party. like I'm seeing, and this is just, it's not always literal what I see. So this is for interpretation and entertainment purposes only. But I'm seeing an event, and somebody with a boom boom, it points it at him when he's on stage at an event, and this person's in the audience. Okay, that's the picture that I'm seeing. And I'm talking around it simply because I don't want the video to be throttled or to be, taken down or restricted, right? Because I really want this information to get out. But the time has shifted. Before, it was going to be like it could have already happened. But it definitely was before the inauguration. He was not going to be inaugurated on the other timeline. Whether it was the Kamala timeline or the middle timeline, he wasn't going to be. Now, he might. But when he leaves the planet, it will be through the momentum of the inside of his group of people. Whether it's the Republican Party or the nest of vipers he's creating around himself, meaning that also could include Russia. It could include, all of his. It could include China. It could include all the difference. Okay. What else is there? There's not a timeline on that right now because there's a lot in flux. And the influx is about Trump hasn't chose his intentions yet for what he wants to do during this next term. He kind of has a vague idea, but he's having to really, they're pressing him to really start thinking about these certain things, policies, procedures, and he's undecided on some of them. And once he makes his decision on some of them, then the consequence will kick in. But he hasn't made the decision. Just because he said he's going to do a lot of things in his campaign stuff doesn't mean he's going to, right? Just because he said he's going to add tariffs to everything coming in from China and Mexico doesn't mean that he's actually going to do that. He's being buddies with the Chinese president, Chinese leader right now, right? China's likely, very likely, like over 90% likely to cut a deal with them to enrich him personally or his family personally for entertainment purposes only, in order for those tariffs not to exist. Okay? The deportation thing. If it were up to him, he wouldn't do the deportation thing. It was just a fear-mongering thing to get people afraid of it, to get their votes. But he's putting in place people who really believe it. Okay? These are the new Nazi people that are going to really want to create a nation of homogeny, which is really kind of dumb. Well, of course it's dumb, but, none of them look like anyway. So who are they going to pick, right? It's terrible when people in power hate themselves because that's the people they attack, is people like them. And that's what's happening. So pay attention to all the projection that is going on because they're telling on how they feel about themselves and their life. Okay, so just that'll give you a heads up on things. Anyway, so just because Trump said he was going to do things doesn't make it true. He may or may not. Some of the people, all right, here's okay. Karma is real. The truth matters. Facts are facts. And if you disagree with any of that, it's irrelevant. You don't have to agree. Just like you don't have to agree with gravity. Still works. Okay? So it's important to understand that if you are a person who voted for Trump and said, oh, well, I want him to do this one thing. I know he said he's going to do these other 99 things that I don't agree with, but I really want him to do this one thing or these 5 things. And I'm ignoring these other 95 things he said. You chose the predominance of him, right? If there are 95 things that you don't agree with, then you just gave your power over for 95% of your existence in the United States. You gave your power over for that 95% because you chose 5%. So what does that mean? It means that you sold your alignment for 5% of your existence. You sold your integrity. You sold your karma. Think about that. And so were any of the people 100%? No, of course not. But if you saw something in a candidate that was completely opposed to everything you believed in, and it was more than one thing, and it was the predominance of the person's actions, thoughts, words, conduct, platform, and you still chose it, you sold your integrity. And now you're going to get the karma for that choice. Everybody's getting the karma for their choices all the time, every day. It's how karma works. It's just the results of your choices. Okay? People say karma is real. Karma is real. It is real. It is the results of your choices. And so understand that if you are one of the reasons that Trump is in power, because you voted for him, or you somehow participated in the activities that took place to put him into power, you are part of the problem. You don't get to separate yourself from that, meaning you are going to get the consequences of your actions that are going to feel louder and stronger and harder than they are for other people. Meaning all the kill, steal, and destroy stuff that's going to happen in the government, that they're there to do, that they're putting themselves in places to do, to destroy policies, to destroy funding, to destroy, right, kill programs, so forth. They're going to kick back on you. Those are going to be programs you need because you voted for them. You chose it. You told the universe, this is what I want when you voted for them. If you have family that is here, even legally, as a person who wasn't born here, and they end up getting rounded up and deported, you chose that. And you don't get a buy for that. You don't get an excuse for that. You don't get to not deal with the consequences of that. You voted for it. You chose it. You told the universe, I want this in my life. Even though you may think, oh, well, I only wanted 5% of it. No. The majority of it, 95%, is what you chose. You chose the whole 100%. But you chose it. So that means you don't get to whine and complain about all the things that are getting destroyed, about you losing your medication, about you losing your Social Security or Medicare, or that you're losing your benefits, or you're losing unions, or you're losing your health care decisions. You chose it, okay? And it's going to be loud and it's going to be hard for you because you chose it. Now, if you didn't choose it, you voted for Kamala, and that's the only not choosing it. If you voted for anybody else, you chose the result, okay? That's how the United States system works. And so if you voted for Kamala, you're like, I didn't choose that. I was part of the 48% that didn't choose him, or 49%, whatever the percent was, that didn't choose him. Still going to be hard, but you have to hold on to your integrity. I didn't choose him because I want this in my life. This is the nation I want to have. Community, unity, taking care of the poor, feeding the hungry, helping people, protecting workers, healthcare for all, personal empowerment, all of those things, right? Those are the things that you need to be inserting in your life every single day. You need to keep choosing those choices. Even when it looks like you might lose your health care, you might lose your pension, you might lose your rights, keep choosing your empowered choices every day with your thoughts, your emotions, your words, and your actions. Keep doing it. Because what will happen is that will stay viable in your life because you're still connected to it. You've brought it with you because it's part of who you are, and it will stay there as long as you feed it. So keep feeding it. Things are going to go sideways in the world. Keep feeding your alignment. Okay? All right. Is there anything else? Nope. I think that's all for right now. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, hit like, share this with anybody that you think could benefit, and I will see you next time.